Hi everyone and welcome to Lipstick on a Rig. Today we're going to be making this adorable flannel beanie. For this project I'm going to be using size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn, and I'm just going to be using two skeins that are the exact same color, and that is eggplant. I'm also going to be using a size K or 10.5 crochet hook. And if you don't have one of this exact size, that's fine, just get as close as you can. So for this project, go ahead and grab both ends of your yarn, and what we're going to do is we're going to work these simultaneously like they are one strand. And one thing to note is you can always take a skein of yarn and divide it in half and use those two end halves as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie a slip knot to attach our crochet hook to. From here we're going to chain 8. And if you're unfamiliar with any of the stitches used in this pattern, please check the links in the description because I'll have my stitch tutorials listed there. Once you have your 8 chains, go ahead and turn them over so that you can access these back bumps. So this is not the V portion of the top of the stitch that you would normally be crocheting in, but instead it's these back bumps. And these might be a little bit tight, so you might have to pull them up a little bit. But what you're going to want to do is place one slip stitch in each of these back bumps, and that includes the back bump directly beside your crochet hook. And once you get to the end of your row, chain 1 and then turn your work. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to skip that turning chain, and we're going to dive right into the back loop only of our first stitch, and we're going to place a slip stitch. And we're just going to continue placing slip stitches in the back loops only for each stitch in our row. So you should have a total of 8 slip stitches when you get done. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but you can always use a chunky yarn in place of these 2 strands. So when you get to the end of your row, go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work again. So from here, we're just going to repeat that last row, placing 1 slip stitch in the back loop only of each stitch in our row, chaining 1 and turning our work. And you're just going to keep repeating that over and over and over again until this reaches about 16 to 18 inches, depending on the size of the head of the person you're crocheting this for. Once you've gotten this to your desired length, which for me was 18 inches, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you have ended on a row that is on the opposite side of your starting tail. And then you're just going to want to fold these 2 edges on top of each other like this. Make sure that you skip this chain stitch and dive right into your first stitch here. Then you're going to dive right into the entire stitch on the corresponding edge. From here, you're just going to yarn over and drop all the loops on your crochet hook. So we're pulling through all of those. And now you're just going to repeat that for every stitch in this row. And once you've joined your entire edge together like this, then turn this inside out. And once you have this turned inside out, then you're going to want to chain 2. And I went ahead and sectioned off my brim into 4 equal parts like this. And I'm just using scrap yarn to indicate those. So what we're going to try to do is place 12 double crochets in each of these sections. And since we don't have traditional stitches, you're just going to have to crochet into these available loops here along the edge of the brim. So this chain 2 is going to count as our first stitch. So now I'm going to crochet over my starting tail. And so to do that, you're just going to line your starting tail up along the edge of the brim. And we're just going to find available loops along the brim to place double crochets. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crochet over the tail like that. So go ahead and place 12 double crochets along the edge of your brim in each of your sections. And when you get done, you should have a total of 48 double crochets. And keep in mind that this does include that chain 2 stitch that we started with. And once you have your 48 double crochets in place, it should look something like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to begin a continuous loop pattern, which means we won't be starting and stopping each individual row, but instead this is going to act as more of a spiral. So to begin that, we're going to start by placing a front post stitch around our chain 2. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So go ahead and yarn over and then insert your crochet hook up around the post here. So this is not the V portion of the stitch, but it's more like a stem here. So then you're going to yarn over and pull through that post. And then you're just going to finish out your double crochet. So you're going to yarn over and drop 2 loops, yarn over and drop 2 loops. And that's how you place a front post stitch. So now go ahead and place a front post stitch in the next 2 stitches. So once you have your 3 front post stitches in place, then we're going to switch to back post stitches. So it's going to be a similar process. So you're just going to yarn over, but instead you're going to insert your crochet hook from the back, come around the front, and then back around to the back again, like this. And then you're going to yarn over and drop your post, yarn over and drop your 2 loops, and then yarn over and drop your last 2 loops. So go ahead and place 2 more back post stitches. And then from here, we're going to switch back to our front post stitches. So you're just going to continue to alternate every 3 stitches between front and back post stitches for the rest of the row. And when you get to the end of your row, it should look something like this. So now all you're going to want to do for the next row is just follow the same exact pattern. So if you placed front post stitches before, you're going to place them again. So placing front post stitches in your front post stitches and back post stitches in your back post stitches. And you're just going to want to follow that pattern going all the way around your row. And when you get to the end of your row, it should look something like this. So now what we're going to do is we are going to reverse this. So in every stitch where we had a front post stitch, we're now going to place a back post stitch. And vice versa for the back post stitches, they'll now be front post stitches. And when you get to the end of your row, it should look something like this. So now all you're going to want to do is follow like stitches again. So if you placed a back post stitch in your previous row, then this will be a back post stitch on this row. And when you get to the end of your row, all you're going to want to do is just repeat that last row again. And when you get to the end of your row, it should look like this. So now what you're going to want to do is just repeat the steps that you made for this entire cycle again. So for the next row, in every back post stitch, you'll place a front post stitch and vice versa, and then you're going to follow like patterns for the next 2 rows. And after you've repeated that cycle one more time, it should look like this. So now we're going to start our decreasing pattern. And you might find it helpful to grab a stitch marker or a scrap piece of yarn to keep up with the first stitch in every row. To start our decreasing pattern, we're going to place 1 single crochet in the first 4 stitches. And then we're going to single crochet together stitch 5 and stitch 6. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Insert your crochet hook up underneath stitch 5 and yarn over and pull through. Then insert your crochet hook up underneath stitch 6 and yarn over and pull through. Then yarn over and pull through all the loops on your crochet hook. And that's going to be your pattern for the entire row, placing 1 single crochet in the first 4 stitches and then single crocheting together stitch 5 and stitch 6. And you're just going to repeat that going all the way around your row. And when you get done, you should have a total of 40 single crochets. And the pattern for the next row is going to be to place 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches and then to single crochet together stitch 4 and stitch 5. And you're just going to want to repeat that going all the way around your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 32 single crochets. And the pattern for the next row is going to be to place 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches and then to single crochet together stitch 3 and stitch 4. And you're just going to want to repeat that going all the way around your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 24 single crochets. And the pattern for the next row is going to be to place 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then single crochet together stitch 2 and stitch 3. And you're just going to want to repeat that going all the way around your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 16 single crochets. And then from here, we're just going to single crochet 2 stitches together at a time until this hole gets really small. And once the hole is really small, then you're just going to want to place a slip stitch in the opposite side of the hole to sort of close any gap that you might have. And then from here, you're just going to cut and tie off your yarn. And then you're just going to hide this tail on the inside of your beanie, and it makes an excellent anchor if you want to attach a pom-pom. And in case you're interested, I will link to my DIY pom-pom maker. It only costs $4 and it makes really nice pom-poms. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Lipstick on a Rig. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.